Good. It's okay. So we have a lot of folks who have recently joined, and we want to just remind them, like, if you have a question that you want to be answered, please comment them. We would love to see what we can do to provide some like options for you all or resources. We are making time for some additional questions. We're at question 15, which means that there are like about 2 or 3 more questions that we'll be answering from the audience. All right, so are there any other policy updates that you're aware of that will be impacting the undocumented community?
Yes, so one thing that hasn't been discussed that much is that Congress has increased the paid sick time for any individual in regards to COVID-19. So even if you're an undocumented worker, which we know many people do work under the table, they even if they're not on those official records, they still have access to those protections as any other worker. So if a worker is impacted by COVID, they have the right to 80 hours of paid sick leave. So that's something that was effective April 1st. A lot of people may not be aware of that, but that's something that is available to all workers. And another thing is that if for some reason, because times are hard right now, a lot of people are being laid off or furloughed. If for some reason your employer says, hey, we're not going to pay you because you're undocumented, they can't do that. You are still legally protected by federal law. So you can go to your Department of Labor and claim that money. And you should. I know people who have, and it's gone well for them. So don't think that just because of your status, you have certain protections in place that are still going to stand by within these times.
Thank
you have a question?
I know. What I was going to say is maybe we can say this in Spanish for people who are watching, because this is very important. We know that para muchos que trabajan en trabajos que a lo mejor no tienen record que usted trabaja allí por varias razones, por lo menos queremos anunciar esto, lo que acaba de decir Caro. Do you mind sharing it in Spanish, si puedes?
Sí, que si les pagan debajo de la mesa y ustedes piensan que si de repente les dice, oh, ya no te podemos pagar, las cosas están duras, todas las horas que ustedes han trabajado les tienen que pagar. Así que pueden ir al departamento de trabajo de su estado y igual ponerles un request para que le paguen. Ustedes tienen ese derecho y lo pueden hacer. Cada hora que trabajan es una hora que tienen garantizada.
Thank you, Caro. También estamos diciendo que desde el 1 de abril hay una ley que ha dicho que también para todos los que están trabajando tienen por lo menos 80 horas de tiempo pagado, que sea si se enferma uno, si están afectados por el virus de COVID-19. Pero también queremos acordarles que todos estos recursos, la información que estamos poniendo o platicando también van a ser disponibles en nuestra página de web. Claro que... Okay, folks, so we are having some technical difficulties. We apologize and we love you all for joining. Gracias por estar con nosotros. Ya vamos acabando la entrevista.
I'm so sorry. I don't know if my Wi-Fi is just not having an idea.
It's okay. You know what? We just appreciate all the knowledge that you've been sharing. It's so great that Wi-Fi can't handle it. How about that?
That's true. I like that.
Anyway, so are there additional resources you would like folks to know of tonight?
Yeah, so I know that there's a lot of food insecurity that people are currently experiencing. So there's been a lot of districts that have taken it on themselves to feed entire families and not students. So that's something that I would recommend if you know families that are really struggling. There's people that are not going to be turning those individuals away, particularly in like big districts. I know in New York, Florida, and California, this is happening. So let's say you have not just your 1 to 18-year-old, but let's say you're struggling to feed your 20, 21-year-old. I would recommend going to those those spots where they're giving food, and then also asking like, is that a possibility? Because these times are really rough, and there are a lot of staff members that are taking it upon themselves to make sure those resources are accessible. Another thing, city campuses. Very recently, the Department of Education said that oh no, is it? It
says it's freezing, but you're good. I can see you. The camera has caught up, but the sound is off now. Aww. Here we go. Quiero hacer un anuncio para muchos que han preguntado algo. Dicen, can you clarify? Can you repeat that? ¿Puede repetir lo que acaba de decir? Por favor, si nos pueden ayudar un poco y ser un poquito más específicos de la pregunta o lo que quieran que repita. Anything that you want us to repeat, please specify a little bit about what you want us to share more about. Okay, we're waiting for Caro to rejoin us.
Hello. Hi,
you know
Roslyn.
what? Thank you. But you were sharing a little bit about resources available, food resources. If there's any more things that folks want us to clarify about that, please let us know, because again, we're happy to share more of that later. I think you got cut off a little bit before you said something about the Department of Education giving or taking away funding from universities.
So currently, the Department of Education is giving a lot of money to universities to give to students as emergency grants, and unfortunately, that money is not including undocumented students, and that was a choice that the department made when that money is going down to universities. But I still want to say that universities should still have ways to support undocumented students. So if you are at an institution, if you're an educator, if you're a staff member or a student, you should still speak up to your administration. A lot of universities are really upset about this, right? So what it means is that they can't use that federal money, but they may have other pots of money to support students. And universities also have resources like food pantries and other services that families should not be scared of using. So for example, at Washington State University, where we have a partnership, there's a partnership with lawyers, so students have access to free legal resources. Their families are also able to access that. So if you're a university student and you see certain resources at your university, you should go ahead and ask. A lot of times our universities are being stretched thin, but just because the federal money is not there doesn't mean that universities shouldn't be stepping up to help students. So I think it's an important time to continue advocating for those institutional resources.
Especially as students, yeah, I completely agree. I think just to plug in, because I work in higher education as well, there are food pantries at most universities. If not, there are many community resources that have made themselves publicly known as hey, we're giving out food. So look it up. If you understand what I am saying, it means you can go online and look up where are food pantries. Para los que no hablan inglés, estamos hablando de recursos de comida, que sabemos que también eso está muy difícil ahorita y para estudiantes, muchas escuelas están repartiendo comida completamente gratis. So los apoyamos y les decimos que también busquen en el internet comida gratis en estos momentos. Okay, so we are supposed to pause for a question, but folks, we got a lot of, can you repeat that? We don't know what you were talking about. There's a lot. We will be posting all of these notes online, so just a reminder about that. Is this being recorded to share later on? Yes, it is. Resources and a recording of this will be available on our website soon after. And then in regards to undocumented people having 80 hours of paid sick leave, what if the company is no longer operating, but it was when the individual needed the paid sick leave?
So that is going to depend on whether that happened before April 1st, because the law was not signed into actuality until end of March, and then went into effect April 1st. So it'll depend on those particular dates. And I think it'll also be able to depend on basically proving that the individual needed the paid sick time due to COVID.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Also, reminder about like unemployment and filing for that as well. All right, so question 19 is something you wish people knew or understood more about working with undocumented folks. Maybe it can be brief. Can you hear me, Caro? Okay.
Can you hear me?
I was like, I'm not sure if she got the question. Okay, so the question is, what is something you wish people knew? What is something you wish people knew more about while working with undocumented folks?
So I mostly work with educators, but I think just across field or just in general, I would say there is no one undocumented experience. So people who are undocumented share a lot because of their status, but like anybody else, you know, be really, really comfortable with that status. They may, you know, be or like prioritize or center another identity more. They may try think more about being like a low-income individual or being a queer individual. So just know that just because someone's undocumented doesn't mean that they necessarily know like right everything. You should never ask someone who's undocumented to fully educate you. You should always do the research, and then also know that each person is complex. So even though these are resources that are like really general to what individuals may need, I know a lot of people who are right undocumented who are currently professionals who are like on the job hunt, so they may need you as a friend to look over the resume or look over a cover letter. So just being really willing to listen and responsive to what those individuals particular and immediate needs are, because we could assume it's certain things, but we should never assume. We should always listen to and know that all undocumented people are different and are experiencing these things in very different ways. So that's what I would.
Thank you, Carol. I appreciate that. All right, and this is our last question. And I know we've talked a lot of heavy things about policy, resources, but something that maybe people can relate a little bit with you is like, what is something that you've been
myself, but I've been cooking a lot more, and I like cooking in general, but I've been eating more plant-based, so it's been good because I think I've had time to be more intentional about my meals. I've also had more time to be creative, so I've been writing a lot more, and then doing crafts. So I did like my own Selena bustier. That was really
fun. Oh my God.
it was coordinated by one of the baddest undocumented mujeres I know. So it was a really cool time. And then just finding, you know, spaces on Zoom or online where you can still find community. So trying to take it, you know, day by day, but like doing little things that bring me joy and that are also good for me and all the well-being.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Caro, for sharing and enlightening us. That is it. I don't know how you feel now that you've made it through 20 questions with us. But thank you. Can everyone please share some love, some hearts, whatever you can, just so that we can remind Caro how amazing she is. And again, we appreciate all the work that you're doing for undocumented folks everywhere, and for taking time to educate us as well, because I know definitely I learned some new things tonight just talking with you. So just something else, what is the best way to contact you? Via social media?
Yes, you can always send me a message through social media. Follow me on Instagram or message me on Facebook, and I'll also share my email for anyone who has any questions. And thank you so much for hosting, Edwin.
Yeah.
And
what is your social media for folks?
My social media is at Doctora Chiquita, but Chiquita with a K.
I love that.
And I know the other one was taken. And then on Facebook as Carolina Silva, but there's a lot of Carolinas. But if you have Edwin as a friend, you'll find me. So yeah, feel free to messages or ask me about education, anything. I'm always happy to answer questions.
Thank you so much, Carolina. Le queremos darle muchas gracias a Carolina por estar con nosotros hoy presente, tomando tiempo de estudiar, donde ella está ya casi son las 10 de la noche. Y es muy trabajadora. I know that you want to get back to your rest of your night. So les estamos recordando que todas estas informaciones y los recursos que hemos compartido hoy van a estar disponibles en nuestra página de web at hervagaboundroots.com. Podemos escribirlo. Hopefully somebody can help me type up the website. También, por favor, si no están haciéndolo, sigan nuestra página de Instagram, aquí donde están viendo esta conversación. Siempre estamos compartiendo recursos y información aquí en esta página de Instagram. Es muy fácil y sabemos que tiene un poco de tiempo para estar en el Instagram. Again, reminder for folks that all this information, even the video, so Caro, you will live on our website as well and our Instagram. So thank you for spending time with us to do this. And then I had talked about this earlier before you go. Caro is one of our former Vagas, class of 2019. Last year, she graduated and completed her PhD, and we highlighted her story, which you can find on our website and on our social media at Her Vagabond Roots. But we just want to remind you all that graduation season is upon us. You know, me and